All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my second channel. If you're clicking this and you're not subscribed to my second channel, I am hoping to be posting a lot more content here very, very, very soon. Just kind of rambling and vlogging and doing all the rest. So if you see this and you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. It has been a year since I've posted like an actual video on here, and I have been sitting down getting ready to film videos. I'm about to film a video on Kendra for my main channel. And I just kind of wanted to dive back into like talking to the community that I have over here, because it truthfully is very nice to have like another place where you post content and it's like a smaller community and you're able to like engage with people and talk with them on like a much more like kind of deeper level, because it's easier to reply to each other rather than on like a trending topic video where, you know, so many people are engaging with it and all the rest. And also, I've really wanted to kind of do this now. There's a lot going on right now. First things first, my mind is clouded with the fact that me and my brother, Josh, are going to Japan at the end of the month. We're going in 3 weeks, and I've lost my passport. And this has never happened to me before, where like I have a trip impending and I don't know where my passport is. I lost my passport about 4 weeks ago, and I have been looking everywhere for it. I think I lost it whenever I was traveling from London back to Belfast and I was really hungover. I unfortunately think my dumbass left it on the airplane or somewhere in between, because it's not in my apartment and it's not at home. However, I literally leave for Japan in 3 weeks and I don't have a passport right now. So tomorrow I am flying from London to Belfast, because I'm able to go back to the north of Ireland with just my driver's license. And then I'm going to have to get a bus down to Dublin. And then I'm going to go to the passport office and be like, please give me a new passport, because I need to leave. So anyways, we'll see if Japan happens at the end of the month. I'm fingers crossed for that. But there's been so much going on, and again, I've kind of been thinking on like when I wanted to fully dive back into the second channel again, and I think right now is perfect, because I don't know about anyone else, but the start of the year, the start of the year, the start of the year, I don't think that I haven't in the last maybe 3 or 4 years had an insane meltdown at the start of the year that like impacts me so desperately. I was thinking about this within the last couple days, because first of all, it's been really hectic because a lot of my friends have birthdays at the end of December and then at the start of January. Neve is at the end of December. One of my other friends is at the end of December. And then my friend M and another one of my friends at the start of January. And it's just kind of like a lot of birthdays and a lot of, this sounds so stupid, but like a lot of partying, which is great. But like, you know, the kind of like, kind of chill period after Christmas is always like a really reflective time for me. And then I've been like going out and partying for birthdays and then coming back and like having a meltdown and then going out and partying. It's been a really weird juxtapose, but it happens every single year. So I was sitting and thinking yesterday actually basically about like how the start of my 2016 has gone. And I'm going to be honest, it's been a little bit iffy. But then I look back on last year and I look back on the year before that, and these similar themes have kind of happened before. In 2023, I remember my New Year's Eve was super, super, super messy. I was having like an active meltdown because I was seeing this guy in Manchester, throwback. I was seeing this guy in Manchester. And then whenever New Year's Eve was getting closer and closer and closer, I was kind of like, oh, like this isn't a great situation. I need to kind of get myself out of this. He was like, still kind of on and off, like seeing his girlfriend, but they weren't together. And then I remember my friend Neve was like, you need to end this. So I ended it. And then I had like a meltdown in Brighton on New Year's Eve, because I told all my friends that he was going to be joining me and we had been seeing each other. And then ultimately he didn't come down because I uninvited him. And then I was alone on New Year's and I had like a huge meltdown on New Year's, and it was not very pretty. And it still gets referenced with like me and my friend group to this day, like the New Year's where Adam went crazy. And then I think to last year, and last year was set up to be a good New Year's. And I put a lot of pressure on New Year's. I don't know why. I always have. But it was in the lead up to me going on tour, and I was living in New York at the time, and I was seeing this guy in New York, and on New Year's, we had a great New Year's. Everything was great. And I remember being like, oh my God, I lifted my New Year's Eve curse because me and Neve like to call it that, like, I have like a New Year's curse where like something goes wrong at the start of the year for me. But then last year I was like, oh my God, it's all been perfect. Like I sorted my New Year's, everything's great. And then I go to bed, New York time, and I get woken up a couple hours later from missed calls from my mom, my dad, my brothers, my nana, my granda. And I pick up the phone, and this is the 1st of January, and they're like, Granny Anna has died. Like, my granny has just died. And it was the first ever family death that I have experienced that has like been impactful to me. Like, we call her granny, but like she died in like 2008. And I knew her, but like I was very young. Whereas when my granny died, this day last year, it had more of an impact on me. And it was kind of that first family, death that you experience. I kind of always thought that like my grandparents were like immortal, and I kind of lived in that like fantasy. So it was like a real wake up moment. So the start of last year was, kind of rocky. And I was just, when something like this happens, your family are going through a lot. And so the start of last year was really bleak, was really, really, really bleak. And I was in New York at the time traveling, and I wasn't able to get home in time for the funeral. And I remember that I wasn't able to get a flight back in time for the funeral. And I was going through this like really weird manic phase because my family were grieving on the other side of the world, and I wasn't with them, and I wasn't able to get home. That I was told to my mom, I was like, I'm going to go on a trip somewhere. So I went from New York to LA, and I arrive that day, okay? I take myself out to dinner. I'm trying to distract myself from literally my entire world around me like imploding, right? And then I wake up the next day, and LA is on fire. Like, I look outside my hotel room. There are clouds in the distance coming closer and closer and closer. There's a red ambience in the world of LA, and it was the LA fires. That was this time last year, probably this day last year, actually, or something like that. And I remember opening my phone to a bunch of missed calls from my mom, my dad. And first of all, my immediate thought before I looked outside was, oh my God, what else has happened? And they're like, Adam, you need to leave LA. Like, the fires. Please look outside. And I look outside, and it's just foggy red. And my phone is alerting me like air quality. And it was within a matter of hours that the area that I was staying in was evacuated. So I had just arrived in LA I was going to be there for a week, and I like immediately had to just like pack everything up and Uber to the airport. And I was at the airport for hours and hours trying to like, get back to New York. So it was a lot, and it was very hectic. However, in the grand scheme of things of that fire situation, I was very fortunate and very lucky, and I can always admit that. My point with this being that it's so ironic because I have always kind of felt like I've had this like New Year's Eve curse, and I even hate talking about it, but like things keep happening. And then what ended up last year being a really good New Year's Eve for me turned into like the worst New Year's week. And so this year I had very low expectations. I was kind of like, you know what? It's going to be what it is going to be. Me and Lexi actually did the New Year's Eve show because I was like, I want something to look forward to on New Year's Eve that is like work and I can focus on it. And I'm so glad we did that. I really am so glad that we did that. And we got a nice Airbnb for it. It was great. And what I will say is and New Year's Eve was fine this year. There was nothing special about it. So hey, we'll take that. We'll take not a traumatizing New Year's. You know what? If it's a boring and unimpactful one, I'll take it. I will say one thing though. I'm a little bit annoyed because I have a really good rating on Uber. I have a really good rating on Airbnb. I have a really good, I have a great rating on all of these things, and I take such pride in it, specifically my Uber one. Like, if I ever go below that 5 stars, I'm going to be fuming. But Airbnb, I hate Airbnb so much, and they are a corrupt company. But in this instance, I needed to use them because there was no booking.com. But I've always had a great Airbnb record. And within the last year, I've really stopped using them, but I needed them for work this time. And I got such a horrible Airbnb review. It is unbelievable. I got a message from the Airbnb host that was like, hey, I feel like I've given you a fair review, but here's what I actually wanted to say. There was someone staying in the Airbnb, and basically I got this huge message from this woman being like, you had a party, you were smoking outside, like the place stinks of smoke, blah, blah, blah. I got a huge fine and all the rest. And I'm like, damn. I wasn't even the one staying in the Airbnb and I've got like a huge fine for it. But anyways, we had a good party on New Year's. And she was like, you had a party until 10:37 p.m. And I was like, damn, she was watching. But you know what? I will take my bad review and I'll take it because we had a great night. But anyways, yeah, that is the first time in my entire life that on one of these like experience review sites I've ever gotten a bad review. And I actually don't know exactly what her review says because to see it, I have to review her. So I'm kind of like, maybe if I just don't review her, it won't show up on my profile, even though I know it will. But anyways, I have really been in this weird state within the last couple days that I always find myself in at the start of January. And me and my brother have done this Japan trip the last 3 years now, and we normally do it in March, April time. For some reason this year I was like, I want to do it in January, and I'm really glad because I'm excited to spend time with my brother he's my eldest brother who's now 30, which is crazy to me that I have a brother who's 30. We don't spend a lot of time together, and it's kind of like one of our like main things that we have in common is our love for Japan and different things out there. So it's going to be great to spend time with him, and I'm so glad that I did it in January because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm in a really weird like in between stage right now. I really don't know what it is. And my friend Anna does readings, and I said to her, I was like, I need a reading, girl. I need it on this, I need it on that, I need it on this, I need it on that, I need it on this, because it's so interesting. I feel like in my life, for something to go good, something else has to go wrong. And this has kind of like happened a lot within my life in the last couple of years. And like even my family and friends pick up on it as well. I feel like there's a Lady Gaga documentary on Netflix where she's like, when I got this work experience, this happened in my personal life. Or when this good thing happened in my personal life, this happened in my work life. And I feel like in that state right now. And it's interesting. I spent a lot of time, hanging out with people from home whenever I went back to Derry recently. And I look around at people who are my age that I grew up with and the kind of life that they're living. And it is sometimes a little bit hard not to compare yourself. And I'm aware that this is a very common thing. And also I'm very, very, very grateful and happy of the life that I live. With that being said, I think it is sometimes only normal to compare yourself. I go home and I see my college friend TJ. I see, my friends Joy, my friends Aoife, and they live a very different life than me. And what I mean by that is they are very, settled. They're very settled. They're, a lot of them like own their own houses. A lot of them, which by the way, in living in Brighton is unattainable. Oh my God, the prices out here. A lot of them like own their own place, and a lot of them are like in relationships, if not engaged. And a lot of my friends are like starting to have kids. Not that I want kids, at least right now, or I think it's kind of weird to bring kids up in the world that we're living in now anyways. But it kind of makes you think. And then when there's other things going on in your personal life as well, it kind of just adds to this like, what am I doing? Who am I? Like my Trump, like, what's going on? Who am I? Like, it is kind of this like weird thing. And I know that it is just kind of this like start of year, like pressure that I put on, because when I had a meltdown to my mother a couple days ago on the phone, she said to me, she was like, this time last year, this time the year before that, this time the year before, we are having the same conversation. And I'm glad that like my mother allows me to continue to have these same conversations with her, and she doesn't just be like, shut the fuck up, because I am sometimes like a broken record. But I think a big part of that as well has to do with the fact that I live alone. And this sounds like kind of pathetic to say, but I really don't have a lot of people to speak to. I'm also like, I didn't want to say this because it kind of sounds like a little bit like pathetic, but when I go through kind of these things, I kind of feel like a burden on the people that are like in my IRL life. I don't feel like it with my family at all. Like I'm really close to my family right now, but like my friends around me, like I was saying this to Lexi, and I've been getting really close with Lexi recently. Like I love that girl down, Lexi, who I did the New Year's Eve show with. It's interesting, like nothing has changed within my like friendships that I do have within Brighton, but for some reason I kind of feel like I'm a burden on them sometimes, which I think purely boils down to like, you know, a lot of them are very settled as well. And I feel that like whenever I go through situations and like open up to them about it, like I almost feel a little bit annoyed that like they have to talk me through things, or that they have to hear me out on things, or they have to give their opinion on situations. It's like, damn, I can't believe, you know, I'm having to put you through this. But then I'm like, well, that is a friend, you know, a friend likes to hear and talk and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm kind of just in my start of year funk right now. And again, the reason that I was like, now is the perfect time to bring back the second channel and talk and all the rest is because I mentioned this on a live stream, and so many people private messaged me and they were like, bingo, that's it. You got it. It's the start of year funk. Like they're feeling it as well. And I was like, well, I kind of internalize it and feel really bad about it because I'm like, well, I must be the only person in the world feeling like this. But then I mention it and so many people are like, wow, this was kind of validating, that I'm like, maybe with this video, if anyone wants to open up down below, I would love to hear it. And again, with these second channel videos, it's a lot easier to read comments and respond to people directly because there are less of you on here. So if anyone has any like, you know, opinions or feelings of this with the start of the year, I don't know. Again, kind of in closing of this part, I feel like sometimes things like fall into place for me, but then for some things to fall into place, like a lot has to fall out of place. And sometimes I like a little bit of stability. And sometimes when things are very unstable around me, it stresses me out. So I guess with that being said, I am grateful that, you know, this Japan trip is so soon rather than in a couple months down the line, because if there's one thing I love is when I'm going through something, I love just being in a different setting and situation, whether that's going home, whether that's going outside on a walk, whether that's whatever. And I mean, dude, if I'm going through a little bit of a funk, put me on the other side of the world, I'll be perfect. So it is what it is. I hate the start of the year. I really do. I hate the start of the year. And I was in this really weird funk on New Year's Eve as well, because, you know, obviously with my granny, you know, dying last year, I'm aware now that like on New Year's Eve, you know, my dad is grieving. I can't even imagine how much he's grieving. And I text my mom and I was like, I feel really sad today on behalf of dad because I can't imagine what he's going through. And then I was talking to one of my friends about that, and she was saying about how, you know, someone in her family recently died over Christmas, and it was kind of like Christmas felt weird to them because it was, you know, holidays and nostalgia. And, you know, I think there's an unrealistic expectation around holidays and end of year as well. And the older that people get, the more that people go through loss, or the more that people go through financial stress or go through any sort of stress. And, you know, I think that like this like perfect vision of an end of year, when sometimes it doesn't work out like that for people, it can make you feel terrible about yourself. And I think just, again, being realistic with ourselves is something that would help us all. Also, I had put on my social media, and I had said, first of all, please, for the love of God, can I get a passport tomorrow? Jesus Christ. I had put on my Discord, and I'd also put on my Finsta, if anyone had any like questions or anything for like me rounding out a little life update video, because again, I feel that to jump back into the second channel again, we kind of need to have that like back and forth going here, and I feel like this is a perfect way. Someone said we need more lore about Woody. So Woody is my cat, and I don't know, I just enjoyed kind of introducing Woody in a very natural, well, there he is way, because I don't know if anyone remembers, but I had two cats, Tyler and Milo, and they were my boys. They were my boys. And I am a very open person online, and I always have been, and I've been very open about the journey of raising Bonnie and Dolly and Tyler and Milo. And that got thrown in my face when what happened was Tyler got FIP, which is a disease for cats. And I was very open about his treatment and his deterioration. And a big part of that as well was because I overshare and I needed an outlet, and I learned some lessons through that. But a lot of people were blaming me for him catching a disease, and that was hard. And then Milo, right before I moved to Manchester, went in for neutering surgery, and I don't know what happened. The vets tell me that he contracted FIP from Tyler, and then I particularly believe that there were complications during the neutering surgery that I wasn't told about. But when Milo started, like ballooning and clearly in so much pain and losing all of his energy, and I was open and talking about that as well, people were like, you've done something, whatever. And then I remember that on the day that Milo had to be put down, I had, again, been updating people, and I'd taken a photo of me and Milo, Mr. Milo, and he was, lying on the vet table, and he was just like staring at me, and I was staring at him, and yes, I was crying, and I posted it basically saying what the update was for people that, right after that he was put down. And I don't know what was in the air, but God, it makes me so angry to this day. I have never been treated so cruel online. Like, the Colleen thing, Ethan stuff, no comparison to Twitter stans started posting the photo of me and Milo making fun of me, like, on no end. And it was hard. And from that moment on, I agreed that I wasn't going to be as honest or open with people online anymore, specifically whenever it comes to my animals, because that's, like, one thing that I feel that goes too far. And so when I got Woody, it was a case of, here's Woody. Ta-da! And I just feel so much better about that because I can trust my audience, but there's a lot of people out there that aren't my audience that watch. And that's kind of something I had to come to terms with. And this is how I came up with that solution. You know what I mean? It is what it is. It's nothing on you guys, but like, you know what I mean when there's like other people that watch, you know what I mean? Let me see. I would love to hear about how you maintain certainty and confidence in your opinions when you deal with hate from people like Ethan and Alexa. Sometimes I don't. I mean, there are a lot of times that you do just want to be like, all right, this, like, I don't need to be subjecting myself to this. There's a lot of calls with my mom. There's a lot of calls with my dad. There's a lot of pep talks with my brother. There's a lot of talks with people in the industry who've also faced things like that. I wouldn't say that I'm overly certain or overly confident in my opinions, but what I will do is defend myself. And I think I have an ego when it comes to defending myself, because you don't get the last say. Like, you don't get to determine that you get to say this about me and I don't get to respond. You don't get to determine that this is how the narrative will be about me. I do. So I think there's a little bit of ego involved in it. And also, I think it depends on who's saying these things about me. Whereas with Ethan and Alexa, I know that they're miserable and have failing personal lives. So it's a lot easier to not take it personally. Where do you see your YouTube content or channel in the next 5 to 10 years? Baby, I don't know where any of us are going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. I'll tell you that. Let me see. Everyone's talking about the podcast with Neve. I would love to have it back. The thing is, there's two things with the podcast with Neve. Truthfully, number one, it should have never been on this YouTube channel because it does affect my statistics on this YouTube channel, which then affects my videos because there's a view analytics thing that happen when you post a video and it doesn't do how your normal videos do. So doing them weekly is out of the equation. We should have created a new channel for it, and that is an oversight on my behalf. And then also as well, Neve works full time, and like my content is not doing personal podcasts. And the thing I struggled with doing the podcast with Neve is we are really opening up about our dating life and stuff like that. And a lot of it came back to bite me in the ass. So that is honestly the truth about it. That is the truth about it. A lot of people are asking for an update on whether or not I'm going to move back to Derry. I would definitely love to in the next year be able to go home more often. I do think a way of doing that is maybe relocating back. But I love living in Brighton still. You know what I mean? I really, really, really do love living in Brighton. A lot of people were saying, you're doing a London show, March 21st, and you're saying about doing Canada. What convinced you to tour again when last year was so bad? That's a good question. So the touring experience was bad because of things that were able to be changed, but people involved didn't want to change them. You know, when I was doing the meet and greets and I was doing, the shows and stuff like that and like connecting with all of you, it was great and I loved it. I really did. But everything else was terrible. And so me and my mom have like taken full control and we're now changing how all of the bad things were so that it is just kind of an overall good experience. And I'll be honest as well, like, because we're self-funding them, I mean, I'm not really making money on them. If I do merch at the shows, maybe I'll make money on them, but like, I'm pretty much breaking even. Like the London show and ticket sales so far has kind of made back exactly the amount of money that I put down overall for the venue. And so that's just kind of how it is. But I enjoy the experience and it's fun. And that was really kind of what changed it. And also I loved seeing the different parts of the world. And I've really wanted to see Canada and I really want to see Australia. So that's it. And also just creating memories like with like my friends, my family and stuff like that. What is the most terrifying, mundane thing that keeps you up at night? Terrifying, mundane thing? I don't know what would keep me up at night. I don't think anything really keeps me up at night. If I'm tired, I'm going to bed. Terrifying, mundane thing. I think I panic a lot, but this isn't mundane. I panic over, like my animals getting sick because I have like a lot of trauma when it comes to that because of Taylor and Milo, but that's not mundane. And I think about that every day. Sometimes I'll literally be like having a meltdown over them not being here anymore. And then like, they're like at my feet. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ. I haven't seen Heated Rivalry yet, but I really do want to see it. Goals for the new year. All right, we'll end it with that. My goal for the new year this year is going to be, do you know, honestly, I want more hobbies. I look around at me and my friends, not to throw anyone under the bus, but I think that we live in a pandemic where people do not have hobbies, myself included. So I got DJ decks and I also got a Kindle, and I've been loving a Kindle, by the way. I've been loving my Kindle because I was like, I just want more hobbies and I would love to get into knitting again. So I'd say goals is probably definitely for sure to kind of have more hobbies. But anyways, I am going to go and film a video on Kendra, actually. I'm wearing my Swip merch, by the way. So cute. If you guys like this video, let me know. If you have any thoughts on it, please comment them down below. And if you're not subscribed to the second channel, please consider, because I am going to be posting here more frequently. And I enjoyed this. I will see you all very soon. And please hope that I can get my passport tomorrow. All right, bye.